Okay, this is a chart of the VIX, and it goes all the way back to August of 2024, right? When I'm looking at August of 2024, I saw some highs up here. In fact, if you go back a little bit before August, you'll see some incredible highs that happened. But I wanted to take out the big spikes, and I wanted to show you where I believe expensive and cheap are on the VIX. All right, so if you take a look, I've drawn three lines in here. I've got roughly just above 2750, somewhere just above 20, we'll call it 21, and then down here around the 13 area, right? So anything at 2750, and you're looking at the overall market being expensive. In fact, anything above 21, and we're getting into the expensive range. Anything below 21, and we're in the cheap area. So maybe you've heard the term, when the VIX is high, it's time to buy. When the VIX is low, it's time to go. Well, the VIX was low when we got into the middle of December, but then it jumped up as the markets pulled back over the holiday timeframe. VIX actually clocked in the end of 2024 above 1750, but now we're back down to 16. I believe that number is going to continue to go lower, at least over the course of the next week, week and a half, before Inauguration Day. So, we could talk about two different things here. A low VIX means that there's possibly risk in the market going lower. Yes. But to an option trader, you know what the low VIX means? It means it's time to buy options. Now, the VIX is an indicator on the S&P 500, or the stocks inside the S&P 500. But did you know that what we do is we look at calculating expensive and cheap volatility based on the stock itself. So we take, for instance, a VIX, if you call it that, on every optionable stock. And we're able to look at that chart. And we go back a minimum of a year, but we can go back even farther. And we see where the lowest area the volatility was on those options, the cheapest those options were, and the highest that those options were at that time. And we actually are able to stamp those on every optionable stock. So each stock has its own VIX if it trades options, right? I call it a surrogate VIX. It's its own. They have their own VIX based on their own movement, their own volatility. And so we chart those, and we're able to look at each one. So we can tell what stocks are cheap and what stocks are expensive right now. So if you look at the VIX one more time, you can see it's down here in the cheap area. But this doesn't represent all stocks, folks. Right? In fact, I want to talk about the stocks that are cheap. And again, what we do is we look at all optional stocks. We do a ranking of their volatility against a set of near money options over the last year. Now, what we do is we take a look at, we call it high, low, last. What's the highest it's been in the last year? What's the lowest it's been in the last year? And where is it at right now? And if where it is right now is close to the low, then that's considered cheap. Here's your top 10 cheap optionables. All right, the ones you want to buy calls on if you're bullish, the ones you want to buy puts on if you're bearish, heading into January. Carnival Cruise Line tops the list. It's not on its low. As you can see, its high is 67.23, its low is 34.76. It's at 35.81 right now. This has some cheap calls and puts. Chewies, all right? I'm a consumer of Chewies, not directly. I don't eat the stuff, my pets do. But Chewies has some cheap options right now. ASTS, same thing. Look at how high ASTS options were. They had a high vol of 240.66, a low of 78.09. They're at 86.65 right now. Okay? S is very, very close to its low for the year. Gold, GDXJ, the junior gold miners, are almost at their one-year low. We round out the top 10 with JBL, DT, Evergreen, GWRE, and Centex. All of these 10 stocks are cheaper than any other optional stock right now when you're looking at where they have been in the last year. Want to take a look at the expensive ones? They're going to be the exact opposite. The 10 most expensive options, we're looking at where the high IV is and where they are right now as a stock. CNX currently has an IV of 50. Its high was 61. KMI currently has an IV of 25. Its high was 27. DAL, all right, Delta Airlines, again, earnings coming out real soon. 47 current IV, 48 is its high IV. Dow Chemical is also on that being expensive, and UAL, which is United Airlines, 55 current, 61 high. The stocks that round out the most expensive options of the top 10: LYB, ETR, Atom. This is what is it? Constellation Brands, earnings coming out. And then, of course, BAH round out the 10. Typically, when you're in earnings season, you're going to see a lot of stocks that are reporting very soon on the expensive side of this. All right. So in summary, what we do with our cheap and expensive options, folks, is we measure them to themselves, not to the overall market. All right. We measure it against 1 year of data, but we can do more if we want to. And again, this is a measurement of the options, not whether or not the stock is directionally a bull or a bear.